What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Priest was giga updated. We got Power Word Update is online, guys. It's here. So listen, I'm actually in the game with the actual talent trees. We're going to take a look at the changes that have come through, and I'm going to show you a little bit of gameplay as well as to like what the new Shadow Priest kind of looks like, at least the first iteration of it. My guesses are this is going to change a little bit more as it continues, but I love the direction they're going. Honestly, I think it's good. Let me do a little overview first. What has happened with the Shadow Priest tree? On the class side, we got some more defensives. They're not amazing. They're kind of whatever, but Fade gives you 5% reduced damage taken now. The bottom of this Priest tree has been dramatically cleaned up, so you don't need to like index into things you don't really want to index to in order to like get the talents you really want. They really cleaned up the pathing, which is great. I'm not level 70 on my Priest. I'm only 60, so I don't have access to all the talents, but you can see that there. Fade reduces your damage taken. Great. Activating Fade removes all movement and pairing effects. Very good, actually. A very, very good thing for a Priest. Priest does not have Disengage or Spirit Walk for a Shaman. You know, they don't have those kinds of tools. So Phantasm is actually an incredibly useful tool, especially in PvP, but even in PvE, I think this might save your life a lot, more than you think it will. So Phantasm is very cool. Reduces the cooldown of Fade by 10 seconds. Very cool. And then Void Shift. This is the new big thing coming in. You and your currently targeted party or raid member swap health percentages. Increases the lower health percentage of the two to 25% if you're below that amount. So you can use this to save yourself, or you can use it to save like the tank or something if he's about to die. Now remember, obviously you're going to be very low on health if you swap with the tank. So, but a really cool ability. It's a very Priest-centric ability. I talked about it in my other Priest video. It's especially good for healers, not as critical for Shadow Priest, but it can still be used in a big way. So I like it a lot. The other major change here is that Mindbender and Shadow Fiend are no longer on the right-hand side of the tree. They used to be down this right-hand side of the tree here. They're not here anymore. They're on two specific trees, the one Shadow tree, and they're on the Disc tree. They are not on the Holy tree. So Holy does not have access to Shadow Fiend / Mindbender and Shadow Flame Prism anymore at all. Holy's going to do its damage in a different way, which I think is good. That's the direction they should go, right? I don't think Holy should get Shadow Fiend. It just doesn't make sense. But Holy's getting a bunch of other spells that will boost, you know, their Holy Fire damage and their Smite damage and yada yada. So they're going a different direction, which is good. The class tree then is much simpler design-wise, has some defensives. We now have to talent into Mindbender, so call that a bit of a nerf, I would say, on Shadow, because they have to take Mindbender now. Or they don't have to, but like if they want it, they have to take it, versus like kind of getting it on the class side for free, quote unquote. So do with that, you know, what you will. But you still have Mind Games and all the buffs to Mind Games. And that's good. Mind Game still does a lot of damage. How much damage does it do, actually? Yeah, 8,100 damage. It's definitely my hardest hitting ability by a mile. Mindbender hits, Mind Game, sorry, hits very hard. So, what else has changed on the spec side then? What are we looking at? What are the major changes here? Number one, there's basically new forms of AoE damage that are coming in. So, the whole stand and channel playstyle is basically gone. Mind Sear still exists in the game now, but it is now a spender. It's an insanity spender, not a generator. Mind Flay, the single target one, is still a generator. But Mind Sear is a spender. What they're really wanting you to do with Mind Sear is to channel it for about 1 to 2 seconds. That's kind of what they want you to do. They don't want you to stand there and just and like forget about everything else that you're doing. You're basically going to be building up insanity, and once you get to like 50, let's say, which is when you could cast Devouring Plague, which is 50 insanity, you could instead cast Mind Sear, and it'll do AoE damage to everything. It does a lot of AoE damage, and it is uncapped AoE damage. All targets within 10 yards, so it's uncapped AoE, and it channels over 2.6 seconds to all enemies. Now, you can make that channel time go quicker, actually, down here with Derangement. So instead of it being 2.6 seconds, I believe now it says Oh, no, that is the changed version. So maybe it's a 3-second channel. You can obviously stop mid-channel. You don't have to stand there and channel the entire time. But the point is that all the damage that comes from Mind Sear, it now does way more damage over a 2.6-second period of time versus standing there and channeling it and waiting for your Mind Blast to proc from, like, Shadowy Insight or whatever it's called on live. It's now called Dark Thoughts, I think, here. Isn't it? Or did they just bake that in? They did bake it in, I think. Let me check that really quick. La la la, down here. Nope. Nope. I thought they put it in here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, it's not there. I thought... Let me check really quick here. Is it down here? Huh. It's got to just be baseline now. I'm thinking there's like a main mechanic here that I'm missing. Shadowy apparitions are there, which is good. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Surge of Darkness. Nope, that's from Mind Spike. Here it is. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I couldn't find Vampiric Insight. This is your main mechanic for Shadow now. Right? It does the same thing that it does in Dragonflight, but it's better. Your Vampiric Touch periodic damage has a chance to reduce remaining cooldown on Mind Blast, cause it to be instant. Mind Blast will also get an additional charge. That's the same thing that you're doing in Shadowlands right now, but you have to stand there and channel a spell, and then, like, you'll be able to basically layer the Mind Blast over top of, like, your channeled Mind Sear for AoE damage if you wanted to do it that way, so that you don't waste a Mind Blast charge. Now they're basically saying you're no longer standing there for like 4, 5, 6 seconds channeling Mind Sear. You're only going to channel it for 2.5 seconds, and it's going to do a way more damage over the course of that time. Or you can just continue to do Devouring Plague, and you can spam Devouring Plague as your spender. It's an instant cast ability, and you gain all kinds of mobility if you do that. They don't want you standing there and channeling for the entire fight. That's not what they want you to do anymore. They want you to mix in the channeled spells of Mind Sear and Mind Flay. And there are buffs to those spells. Down here, there's like Mind Flay and Mind Sear damage. Increases the damage of your periodic effects by up to 5%, which is cool. And there's some more down here. I think near the bottom... it's this one over here. Mind Flay and Mind Sear have a chance to spawn a Void Tendril. So there is still, like, some channeling going on, but not 5, 6, 7 seconds of standing there channeling. You have to, like, channel intermittently. Or, like, you build up a bunch of insanity with your other abilities, and then you channel for 2.5 seconds with Mind Sear and dump it all, and then you go back to your rotation again, your regular rotation. And then you build up 50 insanity, and then boom, you channel Mind Sear again. That's the rotation now. Okay? For AoE... and for single target, but for AoE, Mind Sear is now a spender, and it's a very quick, uncapped AoE damage over time laser beam. Okay? Along with that, the return of Mind Spike is here, which is super cool. Mind Spike, I think, was a BFA thing. I don't even know if it was actually in BFA. I can't remember, legitimately. It might have been before BFA, but I think it was in BFA. Somebody remind me. Shadow Priest main, remind me. Blast your target with Shadow Frost damage, but extinguishes your shadow damage over time effects, increases the critical strike chance of your next Mind Blast by 30%. Stacks up to 3 times. Okay. So, instead of standing there and channeling now, you can use Mind Spike. However, it's extinguishing your shadow damage over time effects. You don't want to do that. If you get a Surge of Darkness, though, Vampiric Touch Devouring Plague damage has a chance to cause your next Mind Spike to not consume your damage over time effects, be instant, and deal more damage. That also stacks up to 3 times. Okay? So, with this playstyle, you don't press Mind Spike unless it procs from Surge of Darkness. I'm going to show you this in a second. Just keep that in the back of your head. But Mind Spike is here. It doubles up with Mind Blast when it comes to a Psychic Link playstyle. If you want to do AoE with Psychic Link, Mind Spike is now a part of that. So, Psychic Link, of course, says Mind Blast and Mind Spike deal 30% of their damage to all other targets affected by your Vampiric Touch. So you get a bunch of Vampiric Touches out, and then you're casting Mind Blast. And then if you get a proc on Mind Spike from Surge of Darkness, you cast that instant Mind Spike. It doesn't consume your damage over time, and it also contributes to Psychic Link damage. See how that works now? That's the synergy there. On top of that, to cap it all off and keep the synergies going, we have a reworked Shadow Crash. Hurl a bolt of shadow energy at a destination, deals 4,000 damage to all targets, and applies Vampiric Touch to 4 of them. That's crazy. So now you start with Shadow Crash. It gives you 4 Vampiric Touches. Your Psychic Link damage will spread to all the people with Vampiric Touch, and your Psychic Link damage can come from Mind Blast or Mind Spike. Okay, you following the combo so far? To cap it all off, you can take Misery, which of course says your Vampiric Touch also applies Shadow Word Pain. So when you throw out your Shadow Crash, it puts Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain on 4 targets, which is insanely GCD efficient, right? One ability casts 8 spells on 4 targets. Do you see what I'm saying there? 8 spells on 4 targets in 1 GCD. That's the power of Shadow Crash now, if you take this combo. On top of that, of course, you're getting the Psychic Link damage because you're going to be getting procs. You're going to be casting Mind Blast and Mind Spike, cleaving that damage with Psychic Link. On top of that now, one more extra thing to add to it, right above Mind Spike is this. You can have Auspicious Spirits, of course, which generates Insanity, doesn't work. Or you can have sort of the revamped version of Searing Nightmare, because we don't have Searing Nightmare anymore. Thank God. This is replacing Searing Nightmare to a degree. There's another ability I'm going to show you in a second that actually replaces Searing Nightmare, but this is a similar idea. Shadow Word Pain damage has a 5% chance now to create a shadowy version of yourself that floats towards all targets affected by Vampiric Touch. This is the old school shadowy apparitions that used to proc off of Shadow Word Pain way back in the day. It doesn't now in Shadowlands, but it will in Dragonflight if you take this. Finally, you could take Dark Void, which is the new Searing Nightmare. Unleash an explosion of dark energy around your target, dealing damage, applying Shadow Word Pain to the target, and 1,474 nearby enemies. It's not actually that. The tooltip obviously is wrong. What it should say probably is all nearby enemies, I'm assuming. It could be capped, who knows. The point is, this is a very quick way to get Shadow Word Pain on a large group of enemies. Let me run the entire combo back for you. You got Shadowy Apparitions, okay? You have new Mind Spike. You have Psychic Link, which cleaves your Mind Blast and Mind Spike to all people with Vampiric Touch. You're going to throw a Shadow Crash in. It hits 4 targets. They now get Vampiric Touch, and they get Shadow Word Pain. Okay? The Shadow Word Pain can send a Shadowy Apparition. The Mind Blast and Devouring Plague will send a Shadowy Apparition. And your Mind Spike and Mind Blast are cleaving because of Psychic Link. Okay? Some more buffs here. Maddening Touch, Vampiric Touch generates 1 insanity each time it deals damage. So that's 4 every second if you have 4 targets hit just from the 1 Shadow Crash. Mind Blast and Mind Spike critical strikes generate additional 5 insanity. And of course, Mind Spike gives Mind Blast more crit, which is cool. Reign of Death increases the damage dealt by Shadow Word Death by 25%. Shadow Word Death deals 20% of its damage to all targets affected by Shadow Word Pain. We just put Shadow Word Pain on 4 targets because of Misery plus Shadow Crash. Or you could take, of course, Dark Void, and then you'd have a larger spread of Shadow Word Pain, and the Shadow Word Pain would get cleaved by Shadow Word Death. On top of that, you get Piercing Shadows is just more shadow damage. As you deal damage, you do more shadow damage. Down here is Derangement. Increases the initial damage of Devouring Plague by 75%. And Mind Sear deals damage faster. This ties into what they're trying to do with Mind Sear. Mind Sear is not supposed to be a stand there and channel an AFK in real life and turn on a YouTube video. That's not what you're supposed to be doing anymore. They want Mind Sear to happen quickly. Okay? Also, Shadow Word Death deals 75% less damage to the caster. Ties in very, very well with Shadow Flame Prison, where Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death cause your Shadow Fiend and Mind Bender to do damage. You can now freely cast Shadow Word Death and not worry about the damage implications because you are not taking any damage anymore. Let's put this all together right here. I want to show you. I'm just going to throw Shadow Crash, and I want you to see how many Shadowy Apparitions get sent out. Okay? Both buffs. There goes my shadowy apparitions for free. Both debuffs are on the enemies. I'm getting procs. There's my Mind Spike proc. I'm going to throw that out. There's Mind Blast. Here's another Mind Blast. I have 3 charges. Here's Devouring Plague. We're going to go now. Here we go. Here comes Shadow Crash again. Look at how mobile I am. I'm waiting for Mind Spike to proc. There's Mind Spike. It procced. Press it again. It's going to make my next Mind Blast be like instant cast. It's also cleaving. Oh no, I lost all my debuffs. That's a problem. Shadow Crash doesn't keep them up all the time, unfortunately. I'm going to hold on Shadow Crash for now. There we go. We got a proc. There we go. Mindbender. Here we go. We're going to do Shadow Crash to refresh. Okay. Now, I haven't done Mind Sear yet. Let's build up to Mind Sear. Here we go. We got Mind Sear. We're going to channel it. Boom. Channel. And then we're back into our rotation. Okay. Void Tendrils is kind of cool. You can channel Mind Sear. Mind Sear is a builder. Mind Flay is a builder. I'm sorry. Let's refresh our dots here. Okay, here we go. We're going to go here. Oh, I just used Devouring Plague. I did not mean to. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Mind Sear. Boom. Shadow Crash. Back to our regular rotation for a bit. We got to build up our Insanity once again. Back to Mind Sear. We're back again. All the way down. Okay. Then we're going to keep going back to our rotation. Okay. Mindbender. Mind Sear. We're at 50 Insanity. There we go. Okay. Shadow Crash to refresh our debuffs. Devouring Plague. I did not mean to Devouring Plague there, but there it is. So you can see this is kind of the style. Your Mind Sear is meant to be a quick DPS dump, and then you're back to your regular rotational stuff, okay? This is just one way of playing the character now. I'm not saying that this is correct. I'm just letting you know that this is a possibility now, which is really cool. One thing I'm going to highlight in a second. We're popping off here. There goes Mind Sear. Look at how quick Mind Sear is when I have haste. I have a bunch of haste rolling right now. So that's how that works. Shadow Crash to keep it going. Look at the mobile line. Look at the spirits, man. I do have my tier set bonus proccing. Don't worry about that. It doesn't matter. We can't see the damage anyway. Okay, that's it there. So that's how your AoE rotation could work. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that I literally don't have Void Form or Void Eruption, which means I can't go into Void Form, which is kind of weird. I think like this probably should be more central in the tree. Like it's weird that you don't have to take Void Form / Void Eruption. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a weird thing to me in my head. It's such a staple of Shadow Priest now since like BFA, even though it's changed over the years. It's just very weird to not have Void Eruption more centralized. Now, I'm missing like 10 more talent points that I could put in here. So obviously I can't get to the very bottom and do a bunch of really cool stuff. But this is basically what has changed on the tree for the most part. There is an emphasis on faster instant cast abilities, less emphasis on channeling. You obviously saw that I did channel a little bit there with Mind Sear. And there is a build where you can do more channeling with Mind Sear and Mind Flay. But I don't think that Blizzard's intention is for you to be standing and channeling like you used to be in the current expansion with like the Searing Nightmare playstyle. Obviously, Searing Nightmare is completely gone. It's just gone. So not something that they've intended to continue. They want to change it to this style here. A couple of honorable mentions here. Dark Evangelism, Mind Flay, and Mind Sear damage increases the damage of your periodic shadow effects by up to 5%. Then you can take Dark Ascension, which consumes your Dark Evangelism, which is your periodic effect buff, and it converts it into 20% more shadow damage, non-periodic shadow damage. So like Mind Blast, Mind Spike, that kind of stuff. That's an interesting little combo there. Unfurling Darkness is here still for that instant cast Vampiric Touch. Then you have Void Eruption is back. You know, it's still here. You've got Ancient Madness. Void Form increases your crit. We already knew that. You've got Hungering Void, and Surrender to Madness is still here. So there are some really cool options, sort of the standard stock stuff. And then there's Mind Devourer. Mind Blast has a up to 16% chance to make your next Devouring Plague cost no insanity. That's actually not bad. Insidious Ire, when you have Shadow Word Pain, Devouring Plague, Vampire Touch on a single target, your Mind Blast damage goes up. There are some really good buffs here to single target, I will say. Insidious Ire is one of them. Then, of course, you have your idols at the bottom. Echoing Void one. Lunacy reduces the insanity cost of Devouring Plague by 10, so it goes down to 40. Reduces the insanity drained when Mind Sear deals damage by 5, which is really, really good. It drains 25 insanity, so now it's only going to drain 20. So that's good. I think that this tree layout is much, much better than it was in the original version. Again, they've done a similar treatment to what they did in the class tree. It's just much more accessible. The stuff that is in the middle makes sense that it's in the middle, except for Void Eruption. I feel like that should be in the middle. But that's just me. Your Mindbender stuff is still here. Monomania got moved down here. While channeling Mind Flame, Mind Sear, tick rate of your Vampiric Touch, Shadow Word Pain on your current target is increased by 25%. So faster ticks, which is very good. They're kind of focusing on speed and mobility, instant cast abilities, instant cast procs, that kind of thing. It's much more agile than it is in Shadowlands, which is about channeling Mind Sear into a Searing Nightmare. That's kind of what you're doing for AoE, right? We're talking a lot about AoE here. Now it's a lot about, you know, do I want more Tormented Spirits out of Shadow Word Pain? Or do I want more Insanity Generation? Do I want the Shadow Word Pain on all targets? Or am I doing like a 4-target cleave? Because I could do 4-target cleave with Shadow Crash. Maybe I'm doing a single target build. Then I'm going to take Void Torrent instead. Get tons of Insanity out of that. Do I want a Mind Spike focused build? There's 5 talents that support Mind Spike. Surge of Darkness makes it not consume the damage over time stuff. Mental Decay. The duration of Shadow Word Pain Vampire Touch is increased by 1 second. Sorry, that's the channeling one. This one, Mind Melt. Mind Spike reduces the cast time of your Mind Blast. Not as important, actually, because you're getting instant cast Mind Blast from Vampiric Insight. So this Mind Melt is kind of useless, I'm not going to lie. Now, it's not entirely useless. If you're just spamming Mind Spike on somebody, which is possible, you can just have a build where you basically don't do any dot damage. You're just spamming Mind Spike. Then the reduction in cast time on Mind Blast is actually very relevant. Probably more of a PvP thing, if I'm honest. Right? Then you do have Psychic Link for AoE or Shadow Crash or both. And they both go into Whisper of the Damned here. So it's interesting. I'm not sure how the AoE is totally going to work consistently. Like, if I didn't have Psychic Link AoE damage there, I think my AoE damage would be really, really low. I'm just not sure how to fix that. Obviously, I'm not getting to the bottom of the tree, which is very significant because these are the most powerful buffs down here. And, of course, I don't have Void Form either. So, interesting stuff. I just think, like, it's all looking pretty good, to be honest. I just am wondering about the AoE damage, how that's going to work, and the single target stuff, if that's also going to work well. What's really cool about the tree, guys, less channeling overall, faster channels that do more damage. Mind Sear's a spender now. Mind Spike is back. It synergizes with Mind Blast and Psychic Link to do more AoE cleave damage. You have a cleave option with Shadow Crash now. It's the de facto cleave option now because you can apply Vampiric Touch, but you can also apply Shadow Word Pain with Misery. So you can have a very, very quick 8 debuffs going out in one GCD. That's kind of crazy. You do get to also get Auspicious Spirits from your Shadow Word Pain, I think, which is awesome to have a callback from previous expansions on that. On top of that, defensively, you've got Dispersion, which is really good. You can spec into more shields up here. They moved the Mental Fortitude up here. It wasn't working. I actually have this talented, but it wasn't working on live. Or you can get improved Dispersion. So more defensives there. More defensives over here with improved Fade, Translucent Image, and Void Shift. More defensives with the Shadow Word Death, not hurting you as much. Or you can just take Hallucinations, which buffs reduces the cooldown on all your big stuff. So a lot of good stuff going on here, honestly. I think it's good. There are some, I should say, there's some stuff that's not implemented yet. So this might help to clear up some of the knowledge. Shadow Orbs coming soon. Puppet Master coming soon. Harness Shadows coming soon. So we don't know what that stuff's about. I don't know if they're bringing back, there used to be like a stacking Void Orb thing, but that was like with Devouring Plague. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. Maybe Shadow Orbs. I don't know what this is going to be. We're just going to have to wait and see. But overall, I think the tree, it's a good start. It's good to get away from Searing Nightmare. Then there seems to be a lot of other options for AoE and Cleave, which is very cool, and it's going to bring a lot of flavor to Shadow Priest that was otherwise focused on just standing still and channeling. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think about the state of Shadow Priest? There are going to be more updates to come. Let me just say, whenever I do these talent updates, guys, some of you guys have written in my previous videos, like in the comments, hey, this talent's changed and this talent's changed. Like, why haven't you talked about the ad yet? And it's like, part of me needs to wait until as many changes have come out as possible so that I can consolidate them all into one video. Because I don't want to just make a video every single week on like the 2 new changes that came out for Prot Warrior or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So when I do these kinds of videos, I'm trying to wait for a little bit of time to make sure that I can bring all the changes together and actually show them cohesively together, because then it makes more sense. Okay? So that's it for Shadow Priest, guys. Let me know what you think. I think it's looking really cool. I think it's a good start. Certainly it's good that Searing Nightmare is not on the tree anymore. And overall, I'm happy with the direction they're going. They need to do a little bit more, and we'll have to just wait and see. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one.